Okay, we're good.
Okay, we are good. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Township of Bedminster. This is our regular meeting of March 4th. I will note that we have all town committee members present. Judy, can we have the Open Public Meetings Act statement, please?
Yes, sir. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was sent to the Courier News in Somerville and to the Bristol News in Whippany, to all subscribers, and also posted here at the Municipal Building as of January 7th, 2019.
Great, thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thanks everyone. We've got a pretty short agenda, and I think as all the Township Committee members know, the plan is once we run through the regular meeting that we'll retire to in the conference rooms to continue budget discussions. As a reminder, that budget session is part of the public meeting and is open for the public to come and join in. However, it's just for convenience to have all the papers in front of us. It's easier to do that in the conference room than in the chambers. First order of business, approval of minutes. Has everyone had the opportunity to look at, there's 3 minutes up for approval.
I need to abstain for the
You need to abstain from the one. Okay. Any comments if that haven't already been made to Judy? Nope. Okay.
To approve the minutes?
Do you have a second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Permits raffles, we have one raffle license application for the Junior League of Morristown to be held at the Hamilton Farm Golf Club on May 10, 2019 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. This is an on-premise merchandise. Any comments or questions? And if there are none, can we have a motion to move forward?
So moved.
Second?
Again, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Great. So this is a great opportunity to recognize one of our residents and one of our volunteers who is achieving something that very few people get to. Tremendous honor. William Clarkin is, you can come up, Will, is a volunteer in town. And he has completed his Eagle Scout Award, and we actually have a resolution that we'll be presenting him if the Township Committee votes for it, recognizing his achievement in making Eagle Scout. His court of honor is next week. So we have a resolution, which is Resolution 2019-033, and let me read it out so everyone can hear it, and microphone, and your family watch this if they want. So this is Bedminster Township Resolution number 2019-033. Whereas William Clarkin is a member of Troop 34 in Morristown, and whereas William Clarkin has worked diligently on his Eagle Scout project to obtain the proud rank of Eagle Scout through his diligence and perseverance, and William Clarkin has completed his Eagle Scout project, which entailed installing 4 information kiosks equipped GPS markers at Lewis Morris Park in Morristown, New Jersey. Whereas William Clark is also currently an active volunteer in Bedminster Township on both the Far Hills Bedminster Fire Department as a junior member intending to complete firefighter 1 training later this year, and the Far Hills Bedminster First Aid Squad as an EMT. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the Township Committee, the Township of Bedminster, that is with both pride and gratitude for such outstanding service by a young citizen of our community, that the Township Committee recommends William Clarkin for the rank of Eagle Scout for his outstanding personal achievement. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved?
Do you have a second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. William?
Congratulations.
If you want to come to the microphone and just tell us a little bit about your project and also your service here in Bedminster.
So I've been a Township of Bedminster
about 3 years now. And all of you might find it a little bit weird, but I just came from a call about 10 minutes ago. So I keep on my boots, but Township of Bedminster has given me marvelous opportunities to grow, not just in myself, but it's given me opportunities to know what I want to do with my future. I'm thinking about trauma in the Navy, so I think the town has given me such a opportunity to blossom in what I want to do with my life, where I want to go, and what I really want to do with it, and it's primarily giving back to people. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you. And so William is a junior
Yeah, I'm a junior at Seton Hall.
at Seton Hall Prep. So that's great. So congratulations. We have just one little typo that we're on this.
Actually, we're going to give him this one.
Okay.
With the wrong town, wrong address.
Okay.
And then we'll correct it, and I'll send him a corrected one.
Okay.
Because he has his,
So I did write Morristown on. So do you want me to sign this one, or? Okay. So we'll sign this, and then we'll get you one with the correction. Great. So
Thank you
William,
so much.
congratulations, and thank you for your service to Bedminster. Also, can you just give a little description about your project at Lewis Morris?
So my project is actually, it's in between a national park and a county park, so it's actually bordering Jockey Hollow National Park. So I kind of had to work with the National Park Service and then also the Morris County Park Service. Primarily people have been getting lost on the trails, and when you say a couple of people, it's been a lot of people, to the point where you have to put a kiosk where they have to find a way between the national park and the regular park. So the ability to put in GPS markers, mapping systems, all that type of stuff has really made an improvement since it's such a well-known park in New Jersey. So I think it's making a lasting impact.
That's great.
Excellent.
That's excellent. So,
I think it's just great. My roommate in high school was an Eagle Scout. I know how much work goes into that, and it's an incredible accomplishment, so congratulations to you.
Thank you.
I myself didn't get out of Bobcat, so.
I thought I was going to go that far, but apparently I made it here.
Thank you for your service as well.
Right.
To the fire department and the community.
that's great.
Thank you.
We are
And
lucky to have you.
your family must be very proud. I mean, I was just telling William, so my two guys, made Eagle Scout last year. They're last that they could possibly do it. And I know how much work goes into really just going through all the steps of Scouts, but to hit Eagle requires a real commitment of time and energy, and, it's got to be a real project, right? A lot of these projects get bounced by the troop and the masters, and the fact that you got that through, and volunteering and going to school, you got a lot on your plate. So we hope you stick around in Bedminster for a long time.
I'm hoping. It would be a little bit better if it wasn't an hour drive to West Orange every morning, but
Right.
it's okay.
Great. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, William. Twice every meeting, we open that microphone up for public comments. This is the first opportunity for public comments for anything that is not otherwise on the agenda. If anyone wants to come up from the public and make a comment, please do so now. And we'll recognize Bernie Payne, former committeeman.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone. I see I'm limited to 3 minutes, so since there's nothing on new business, I'm more than happy to wait till new business, or I could talk a little bit now. I'll leave that up to your discretion.
You're up there now, Bernie.
Up there now, okay. Very briefly, the Shop Bedminster card, as you know, that was an initiative that I shepherded when I was on the Township Committee. And we're 2 years into it, effective at the end of April, when this year's credits will be applied to the third quarter tax bill. So 2 years in, just to give you an idea, these are types of programs that need momentum, and they need to constantly be growing, or they kind of lose their fizz, let's say. So what I'm here to talk about today is a couple of ideas that I had to energize the program. And I know, Larry, you've been very supportive by having us have that at the farmers market. We have the ability to hand out cards and brochures, and we have the display here at Town Hall. So that's all good. Most of the towns that have very successful programs, however, either have a Chamber of Commerce, a business association, which Bedminster did have at one time, to promote the program and have it grow organically. We don't have that, so it's just essentially word of mouth, where I go out and talk to a merchant and try to get them, to have some interest in the program, or kind of be the cheerleader for the program. In other towns like Bridgewater and Hillsborough, the CFO or the administrator actually runs the program. And don't worry, Judy, I'm asking you to do that. So what I'm here for is, my ask is, I was able to recruit another volunteer to help me go out and promote the program, and that's Trish Zupnick, Scott Zupnick, who's on our planning board. His wife, she recently retired. She wants to do something community related, and she's a big proponent of this program because her husband's in it. He's one of the merchants in the program, his IT business. So I told her I was going to be here tonight. She couldn't be here, but my idea is simply this. The biggest problem I face is when I go into a merchant, I talk to somebody, they think I'm just another guy that's hustling them for some coupon or some type of marketing program. When I was on the township committee, I could give them a township card, all right? It gave some credibility to the program. So what Trish and I were thinking is, if we're going to go out there and try to drum up business, both with merchants and with residents, some type of officially sanctioned township designation for us, program coordinator, program liaison, whatever we want to come up with, and kind of give it the backing of the township committee, a card with the township seal on it, my name, would go a long way when we see a merchant. The program is being expanded outside of Bedminster. We have Bridgewater merchants that are involved, and they cross-market and cross-honor the different cards. In fact, as we speak, there's 2 merchants, one in Burnsville and one in Martinsville, who are looking to come into the program. So, and I've also had some conversations with Far Hills and Peatback Gladstone, if they wanted to merge, create a program, a regional program. That's ultimately going to be the draw. So I'm just throwing it out there. It would be great if we had one designated person on the township committee who's the official liaison to Tricia and myself, because at this point the program's up and running 2 years, and we'd love to make it more robust and get more participants in the program. That's essentially it.
Well, Bernie, it's great to see that the program is still, people are still using those cards. We use the cards. I know some of the folks up here do as well. I will just, it's something I think that we should take under advisement. My one concern about having it as a Bedminster Township card is, to some extent, you're going into local vendors and you're asking them to participate in giving discounts. And one thing that certainly I might want to just a little bit further with John Bellardo is the indication that someone is using the township name and saying, hey, really would be good if you gave discounts to residents or anyone else holding this card. It's just something I think we need to just think about a little further. It really is a shame that BBA fell apart. Is there any move, or are you aware of any effort to resuscitate the BBA or Chamber of Commerce, whether it's between us and Far Hills or any other town?
Well, there was a Chamber of Commerce that was initiated in PPAC, and I actually went to one of their meetings and I talked about promoting the card, but it fell off for basically lack of leadership. Now I understand there's somebody else who's trying to, as you say, resuscitate it. I actually had a meeting with the Burnsville Chamber of Commerce. They have an actual chamber to talk about the card. Once again, no one was willing to take the initiative to be the front person or try to energize it. I presented to Far Hills Council about the card. They seemed interested at first, and I think now they wanted somewhat their own identity in the card, but they're too small of a town to have their own identity. They'd have to merge into our.
And we already have the barber shop, so.
We have the barber shop, but I'm not sure if that's going to work out. So just to the extent that like I said, it's just a matter of. The township did pass a resolution endorsing the program, so I don't know how much of a difference it is when the PTO goes and hits up merchants for their, tricky tray or something. It's the Bedminster Public School, so, they do that. They seem to have pretty good success at getting merchants to participate in that. Doug, I don't know if that was ever a problem where they thought that the school was kind of strong-arming merchants into participating, or never had that problem,
I
right?
haven't heard of any.
But also, when the PTO is doing that, the PTO is doing it as the PTO rather than, they're doing it to benefit the school, but they're doing it through the PTO rather than the school itself. And we're just a little bit different since, we are the government and we have inspectors and we have zoning officials, and to send someone in with a township card saying, it would be nice for you to participate. I don't want any impression that we are in
There's
any
some
way trying to
quid pro
strong
quo.
arm.
There's some
Right.
quid pro quo going on there. I understand, that's a good point.
So it's just something I want to consider. Look, I think everyone up here supports the program, but I think we've just got to figure a way that to give you and Trish to properly give you whatever we can to support you. And this is what I'm saying, we may just need a little bit more time to think about what that is. And,
Well-
and by the way, if this is the germ to bring back BBA or to do something a little more regional with PPAC, Gladstone, and Far Hills, and with Burnsville, that the Somerset Hills towns could work together on something like a more expansive chamber, I think this would be a great start.
Yeah, this might be, as you said, this could be the catalyst for that. And, it is why we're in a little bit more of a dilemma, like I said, because we don't have that chamber of commerce. We just don't grow this, organically, so to speak. But I understand the point. The other thing is I could go back to the third-party administrator, which is FinCredit. I mean, they own the logo for property tax card, and it says Shop Bedminster. Maybe I could get something from them, and maybe that would work. I don't know. I'm just trying to, rather than going in and just saying, hi, this is who I am. And,
Bernie, off topic, but on topic,
Yeah.
and I apologize for it. Do you happen to have any numbers about participation over this past year? Is the program growing?
We've had some merchants fall off the program, and just for a variety of reasons, and maybe one went out of business, and others under new ownership or something. And Delicious Heights does very good in the program, Annie's Deli, and then they're also doing well. I don't have any numbers, but they get Bridgewater people to utilize them, so it's a draw from out of town. I mean, the whole concept was regional rather than just indigenous to Bedminster and only Bedminster merchants, So, I mean, it's growing. I mean, the people that use the card frequently love the program, and then there's people that get the card, never register it, or registered it and never used it. So, so it's just a matter of keeping it growing, keeping the momentum going. It's been 2 years, and and the initial impetus is, kind of wears off, and now I'm just trying to inject some new life into it.
I mean, thank you for
Okay.
doing that, for being so enthusiastic about the program.
Like I said, I'm the biggest
We need
cheerleader.
you to keep spreading
Absolutely.
the word, and farmers market is.
Right, and so,
Right around the
no, you got Shop Bedminster and Farmers Market in the same sentence. That was a good job.
Yeah.
Double credit for that.
Certainly, and wherever you are, your favorite merchant, if you can say, hey, you might want to think about this,
Yeah.
have them call me, and then I'll arrange some meeting with them and see if we can get them into the program.
And do you get those numbers for the amount of property tax payments that are coming through the FinCredit program?
We get them when they send the file over just before we print the bill.
Okay.
So, I can get them from the tax collector if you want.
I don't think we need the individual, but really just a cumulative,
No.
okay.
Yeah,
Right.
that would be the actual net reward of
Mhm.
what's coming off the tax bill. But that's not real representative of the amount of revenue that is generated to the participating merchants. Because it's, it's the total revenue. I mean, you could almost kind of work it backwards maybe if you thought the average was, and then how many transactions. I could get information from the administrator,
Each one is a little bit different. Some might offer a 5% discount, some might might a 10% discount, so you can't necessarily rely on that and just do a straight mathematic equation to back into the
So if you're
transactions.
interested, I could, right around the end time that the program ends for this year, which is April 30th for the third quarter tax, I could put together some statistics for you and send them out to you.
For the recording, just take a couple minutes and just, it's a no-brainer program. I mean, it's tremendous. Why don't you just give us, again, we know it, but for the recording and for those folks who are listening, why don't you just recap it in a couple of
Essentially, okay, Doug. Essentially, it's a reward program. It's a loyalty program where participating merchants offer discounts on their services, and the discounts are not applied at the point of sale. What basically they accumulate in individual residents' accounts, and at the end of the year, they're applied to as a discount or a reduction on their third quarter property tax bill.
Dollar for dollar.
Dollar for dollar, whatever they earn $300 in credits, there's a line item right on the tax bill which says property tax card or adjustment, and $300 comes off their third quarter tax bill. So if they're writing the check to the Township of Bedminster, they're writing it $300 less. If they escrow with bank, then $300 comes off 12 of their monthly payments, essentially. So, it's a unique program, and even in the last 2 years, my take on it, it's become even more valuable with the SALT deduction. Because when you think about it, now you have a credit applied where you lost the deduction. Now you have a credit on a deduction you can't take anymore. So,
And just a reminder that the Shop Bedminster benefit not only runs to property owners and taxpayers in Bedminster, but also there's a way that FinCredit runs the program that there's benefit to renters as well as folks who do not live in Bedminster but may work here or shop here can also take advantage of those benefits through the card as well.
They get a rebate check in September every year. I've always said the two things that people dislike most about New Jersey are traffic and their property taxes. So at least we can address one of those things, right?
Right.
Right, I mean, and the purchasers aren't coming out of pocket any more than they otherwise would to pay for whatever good or service or product.
It's a free program for them, yeah.
It's a rebate program.
Yeah.
It's dollar for dollar, so I encourage everybody to sign up for it and use it. It's a tremendous program.
Okay, well, thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Appreciate it. We'll keep you informed.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
and we'll discuss with John and see if there's anything else we can
Okay.
do.
All right.
And also, if there's any support you need from the Township Committee to work together on a broader chamber or business alliance.
Well, maybe if you have conversations with your colleagues in PPAC or Far Hills or Berners Township, and something about coordinating and merging a program or bringing their merchants into our program, even if they don't incline to bring their residents in. That's what I basically told Far Hills. If they think they're too small for their residents to participate, well, let's see if we can't generate more business for their merchants.
Right.
They don't have to have their own program. Their merchants can become part of ours, such as Far Hills Park. So that might be the path of least resistance with them.
Okay, and well, you do have the advantage of having some press here in the back of the room, and Jake was just ran an article, I guess it was last week, on food establishments and whether there's a changing trend in food and retail food. So maybe there's another opportunity there, and I think you two know each other, so maybe
Yeah, we'll chat.
you guys have a little discussion about that. And Colin, if you want to reach out to your contacts over in PPAC, and we'll do so with.
My understanding was that somebody called me and said that the new mayor, Mayor Zimmer, who's the new mayor in PPAC?
Oh, Skinner.
Skinner.
Excuse me, was interested in or intrigued by the program. So if you want to follow up with him.
Happy to do that, Brian.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Bernie. Thank you for your work on that. Any other public comments for, once again, anything not on the agenda? We'll move on to monthly report discussion by subcommittee chair. We'll start with Mr. Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Just real quick updates. Colin, John, and John Haynes and I sat down and went through some DPW projects recently. We're working through prioritizing some pavement maintenance plans over the next couple of years. We're still fielding some resumes for the open spot down there, so we'll continue to look through that. John, great job getting the snow today, getting that stuff cleared out quickly. And then the other thing was just police negotiations in Toronto. So we're still doing that. That's what I've got.
Okay.
Mayor, good evening all. Just a quick shout out and thank you to our own Batman, John Mance, as well as Robin Ray, Batman Robin. They participated in the event we had for Cub Scouts a week and a half ago. We had 20 Cub Scouts show up on Saturday the 23rd. They heard a presentation from the Conserve Wildlife Foundation of New Jersey, and afterwards the Scouts built about 8 bat boxes. And they're going to be deployed later on this year as part of an Eagle Scout project. Also want to give a shout out to the Environmental Commission, Tim Walter, who sponsored the event, and a number of the folks showed up from the EC to help out. And as Len Berman might say, nobody got hurt. And here's a picture of the Scouts surrounded by a couple of bat boxes they did. They had a great time. I mean, it was a great event.
These are big bat boxes.
They're real bat boxes.
These are bigger than ones my guys did for Cub Scouts. Oh man, those are great.
Bats and boxes.
How big is like the biggest bat?
They're,
Biggest bat?
well,
The box.
there are some in Australia that get pretty large, but they're not here in the United States. So don't worry, Stacy.
Our guys are better.
On a separate note, move over to Coach K. We now have Coach S, as in Doug Stevenson. Our 8th grade rec team closed the season on a 3-game win streak, and our boys 3 and 14 had an undefeated season. William, what happens if you don't make Eagle Scout, you become a coach later in life. And there's a lot of work involved, and let me tell you, Coach Stevenson really gives it his all to his team. So thank you for the work on that.
Great job, Doug.
Really good stuff.
And to the other coaches on your team as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Coach Anthony Cordella, Greg Brown, very, very nice.
Great.
And then just a quick item, our tech committee meeting today was postponed because of snow. That'll be rescheduled for later on this week. Board of Health, we had 2 septic applications that were reviewed, nothing more exciting than that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Stacy?
Thank you, Mayor Jacobs. Doug and I continue to receive and review resumes for the HR consultant.
Oh, that's great. Great.
So, we'll keep you updated on that.
Okay, good.
There were 2 meetings I attended last week with Mayor, yourself, the farmer's market, and we just have continued to develop what the market's going to be this year, talking about the vendors, talking about some new ideas, what kinds of vendors. Unfortunately, beer is not going to be one of them. They don't have the same kind of license, so we will have to look another way for something different for one of our pop-ups. We're talking about fees and how we can work with the different fees and get pop-up vendors, single entities to come and do something fun. And if they want to stay, then we fit them in the schedule. Let's see. I guess that's about it for that. And then I was lucky enough to have my first meeting with Bedminster Hills Housing Corporation on Thursday, and got to learn a little bit more about how our Parkside, Cortland, Village Green, and one more. I'll run. Anyway, we've got the issue now with the properties coming off of the program, off of low and moderate income housing. So the corporation needs to figure out what's going to happen with fees and things like that.
Right. It's just interesting that here it was. Bedminster was one of the first, if not the first town to go with the affordable housing requirements, and here we are 30 years later. Parkside came off restrictions, and Cortland is about a month and a half from coming off restrictions. So probably way back when.
I thought Cortland was July of 2020.
No, I think the numbers that we saw that last week indicated 2019. At least that's the numbers that were presented. I remember it being next year as well.
Yes.
But Sharon reran the numbers, and
That's what our settlement.
Yeah, I know. But Ed was looking at the master deed, so there may be further discussions that you and Ed need to have on that issue. For me, we talked about farmers market already, and Doug mentioned police contract negotiations. Land Use Board. So there's a Land Use Board hearing this Thursday, and what's interesting about this is, as folks remember, with the solar project that was proposed at the old Kirby property, an application that was made and after through some rather well-attended meetings was eventually withdrawn. Well, that property is now coming up for site plan approval this Thursday for 6 single families, which I believe is largely as of right. I think there's some minor variances associated with it. We'll see if a crowd comes out, look at that property one more time. But it's an interesting turn of seeing it go from a solar project to 6 single families, and I forget the size of the property, but it's somewhere over 100 acres or so. And with that, Judy, we'll move on to administrator's report.
We received correspondence from Morris County Park Commission that later this year they're having a, what do they actually call it, a prescribed burn going to be in part of the Morris County Park system, which is just over the Bedminster border into Chester, but a little portion of it comes over into Bedminster. Up at the Willowwood, Arboretum, and Bengal Brook Park up off of Longview Road. They're going to be doing these prescribed burns in 6 locations, and they're just notifying us so that we're aware of it. It probably will be sometime prior to June 15th, if only if the conditions are right for that. This information went out to our fire companies and our police department, just so they're aware of it, but it's primarily in Morris County, a little piece of it's in Bedminster.
Right, so that's right off of Longview, right?
Right up on.
Okay.
Also today, as you probably know, we had, with the snowstorm, we had a number of power outages on the upper hills, some of our traffic lights, Buckingham, Boston Valley Road, River Road. Maybe the chief can speak more. I think we had an actual power line. There was a problem at the entrance to 287 South, so that entrance ramp had to be shut down for a period of time.
It's still down.
Still down. Then we had some other power outages up in the Ski Hill Drive area. Just before the meeting earlier this afternoon, I did get a call from Tom, a rep from JCP&L, stating there were still 3 homes in Bedminster that were without power, but everything else had been restored.
Those were down River Road?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Did somebody actually catch the wire going up on the 27, or?
No, the wire wasn't pulled down, it's a matter of the weight, the span of it, and it was hanging too low to let the other traffic underneath it.
So Judy, just to follow up, so yeah, I've been getting emails and texts from Tom Hames, you know, as early as I think 6:45 this morning, and texting him throughout the day, you know, so getting a little advance warning on the restoration efforts when most of the hills was going back live, and some of those recent activities resulting in just, well, going from 1,000 to 3 being out. I know JCP&L is still working on that, also making the repairs on that line that's just hanging a little too low to let traffic onto 287. One of the things that I did talk with Tom about, he was good enough to come here in one of our first meetings in January. I asked him to come back and to bring some technical folks from BCP&L. This has been a tough year with winter. We haven't had a whole lot of snow, but we've had some storms, some wind activity, some of that frozen rain and sleet, and we've had so far, you know, by my guess, this is either the 3rd or 4th event of outages. And so I would like to hear from JCP&L reps just exactly their explanation for what has happened, but also effort to harden the system. I think Colin had mentioned earlier, you know, reminded me that one of those outages was the result of, you know, a tree going down, taking out some poles and some lines, but one of the other ones was a pin that had just, you know, failed. And to some extent, Ken, is there anything that can be done to more aggressively maintain the system? And also, once again, we talk about tree trimming. If they need to be more aggressive in tree trimming and they need better action out of the state legislature or the municipalities to cooperate on the tree trimming efforts, then it's something that I think we'd like to hear from JCP&L. So as soon as I know that we've got that lined up with JCP&L, I'll let you all know. And Judy, we can then at least publicize that. And also at that point, we'll turn to Renee and Doug to make outreach to the condo associations to let them know that we're going to have a rep from JCP&L. So if they're looking to hear directly, that they could attend and be here for that. Okay. Anything else on administrator's report?
That's all I got.
Okay. Introduction of ordinances. We have one that's being introduced tonight. This is an ordinance increasing the regular members on the Historic Preservation Commission from 5 to 7. This will be on for public hearing on March 18th.
After a planning board referral.
Right. They'll
Okay.
be reviewing it actually later this week.
Okay, so that'll be on Thursday. Okay. So we will talk more about this later on. That's later on, March 18th. Consent agenda.
Are you going to introduce that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I will make a motion.
Can we have a motion to introduce the ordinance?
I will make a motion to introduce the ordinance.
Thank you, Committeewoman Santucci.
Second.
Okay, this would be all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any abstentions or nays? No? Thank you.
And thank you, John, for the reminder. Public hearing of ordinances, we have none. Consent agenda for resolutions. Judy, we don't have a consent agenda tonight, do we?
No, the only resolution we had was...
It's for William?
Yes.
Okay. So we have no consent agenda, we have no resolutions, we do have the bill list. Can we have a motion to approve the bill list pending review of individual invoices?
I'll make that motion.
Roll call vote, Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
Ms. Bresky?
Aye.
Mayor James?
Aye.
Thank you.
Discussion item. Anything for discussion by township committee members? Okay. New business. Any new business to discuss other than John, once again, well done tonight, or yesterday with, and this morning with the snow. You guys were great. Old business. Short-term rentals,
No updates from last time, Mayor.
engine braking. I have no updates on engine braking. John, I believe there's been some
Yeah,
activity on Tuttle.
You could take Tuttle off. They've decided not to do that with Ms. Hamasick and the Lynches. They're just going to have their driveways come directly out to Tuttle rather than on township property, and the Laytons never got involved with this, so this one's done and can be removed.
Take it off of old business. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Twin Park, Judy, you do have an update on meeting with the managers there?
I thought there was a pending meeting that was going to be held. When I checked with the building official and construction official, they notified me that the meeting had already taken place. I was just not aware. They did meet with representatives from Putnam Park here at the township, and they went over a number of safety issues. I did reach out to the construction official and zoning officials to give me, how the meeting go. They did go over the notices of violation that have been issued for the safety matters that need to be corrected. Some of them are underway, however, others are being deferred because of the weather. I guess there's a depression in the driveway that needs to be addressed. They said they were waiting until the weather broke a little bit. But I do have an update, I think in an email, I think the front of the mayor with some comments from the construction official. The safety issues, he's pushing to get done quickly, not giving any extra time. He's trying to get them done as soon as possible. They are not completed, I don't believe, at this time, but hopefully soon.
Okay, there was an issue that did come up at BHHC that the call came in. Judy, I wasn't sure if the call originated with your office and then got referred over to Sharon. That a resident had indicated that there was a notice received from the management company that they were going to start assessing a utility allowance. And what seemed odd about that is that the residents are already pay their own utilities.
And with that question, why am I being charged a utility fee when I pay my utilities myself individually? She came over to see, if we had had any update or any information, which we did not. She was reaching out to Treetop directly to find out why there was a utility fee being passed on to some of the residents there.
And she also gave me the name of the resident who made the call. I called that resident as well. This is the second time I've called that resident. Left a detailed message. I have not heard anything back. And I will ask Sharon to continue to follow up with the management company. Yeah, so I called that Friday. I haven't heard anything back from that resident. I'm also going to follow up with Sharon to continue on with Treetop and also to have Sharon do some outreach to the county to see if the county has any rental assistance or legal representation that the county can provide or direct to look at the issue of this utility allowance being billed on top of the rent. And once again, from what we've heard, we do have a resident Pluckman Park. If you want to come up and give us any information, no, on whether or not the utilities are already being paid by the residents, and this is above and beyond. So what is it going for? So I think the township can get involved. We can get involved, but we can also certainly direct folks to the resources that are more appropriate. And if that's through BHHC or through the county, that's what we'll do. And I would like to hear a little bit further from Ken Rogers and maybe from Jeff as well as the implementation of the safety repairs and lock down a schedule for seeing the rest of the repairs being implemented.
I had asked for some specific dates. I didn't get that, so I'll find out again this week.
Right.
It wasn't in there.
Because once again, this is a lingering problem, and I'm just concerned about this being deferred again and again. Well, we take Tuttle Avenue off Old Business, Pluckman Parks is on.
Okay.
Okay. Second opportunity for public comment. Microphone is still open. None. Township committee comments. Just as a reminder, we will adjourn from these chambers. We will reconvene in conference room A. Once again, it remains a public meeting, so the public is welcome to follow us there. And William, you've had to sit through at least one or two public meetings to get Eagle Scout. I know what that means, and you haven't really seen a township committee meeting till you've seen a budget meeting. Just letting you know.
He's so right.
So with
Oh, no, he's got to go.
so township committee comments now, and once again we'll start with Doug.
Thank you, Mayor. Saturday I attended the 8th grade bagel breakfast fundraiser for the 8th grade trip to the DC. It was great. Yet another example of volunteers getting it done in the township. I think that it's an underappreciated part of how we govern and what we're able to do and how we can spend our time on it. We've got such great volunteers helping everything else run. So again, kudos to the parents for helping out and getting that done. And then of course that rolled into the basketball awards, which was a hit by Robin again. Very well run, very enthusiastic crowd. And the numbers were great. And Colin's been reporting on our numbers for weeks now. And you can see all those youngsters in the gym together, all sharing a common affinity for sport was really nice, and I hope that we're able to do some things out in Pluckman, in what's to come to help with that in the off season. So that's good. Really nice event. Robin did a great job with that, and just a little shout out to Robin and our volunteers.
Mayor, no comments. Thank you.
No comments tonight, Mayor.
Nothing from you there.
Thank you, though.
Once again, John, great job. And with that, we will adjourn over to Conference Room A and continue with the budget work session number 4. Do we need to adjourn since we're going to be reconvening over there?
You're just
All right.
continuing your meeting.
We're continuing the meeting in Conference Room A. Bernie?
Yep.
A budget meeting?
Come on, Barney.